Wow. Welcome to Cohn and Rocca. I'm Cohn. That's Tyler C. Rocca. News came out yesterday. This was NFL Network. I don't know if it was his opinion. It was Mike Garafolo talking at length about what Brock Purdy wants and what he'll accept and what's fair and all this. And I don't know, a reporter like Mike Garafolo, who's one of the top dudes at NFL Network, I would assume that he wouldn't just pull out of all out of his out of thin air, that he probably has the ability to get Purdy's agent to call him back, if not, a relationship with Purdy's agent to begin with. So he essentially said that to get this done, the final number annually on average is going to be close to $60 million. He went further. He said that Brock Purdy could push for more like $68 million, but out of the generosity of his heart, the kindness of his heart, he'll settle for a little less than Dak Prescott. What do you think of this report, opinion, projection? I don't know what you want to call it.
I mean, in my opinion, I would call it a marketing move. I think it's like what the Niners do, like, oh, we're offering 45 million, right? Trying to get the public to be like, oh, it's kind of a fair offer, and then now they're trying to throw out some smoke, like, oh, Brock Purdy deserves 55 to 60 based on Dak's deal. It seems like kind of smoke, like they're trying to use the media to negotiate, which the Niners love to do. They love using the media to negotiate.
Well, hold on. Let's time out right there. You think this, if this were a leak, irresponsible speculation, you think it's coming from the Niners or from the agent?
Mm-hmm. I think it would be coming from the agent.
Me too.
Yeah. I think they would be trying to. I think the Niners leak would have been the 45, and I think his agent leak is this. So now we see both sides' offers. And we can see how far apart they are. In my opinion, it just shows same old Niners, man. They're just as dysfunctional when it comes to contract negotiations as they always been. They tricked us a little bit at the start of the offseason with Demo and getting him done in season, getting Saleh, and then we all went into free agency like, this is different. They're gonna recalibrate and be beasts again. Nope, they're not. They're cutting costs. They're over it, and they're not. I don't see them negotiating with Purdy and his agent. In my opinion, he's either going to get he's playing on his rookie year deal. Like I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like this, what's interesting about this report is, let's assume, or maybe not assume, but guess that Garafolo has been informed by the agent, and this is a lot of Brock Purdy's camp's perspective on what he's worth in an ideal world. I mean, if that's what it is, I got to give the Niners credit. Like, this feels like a desperate attempt from the agent to get something he thinks he's not going to get. And he like almost made a public plea. Like, hey, this is what it is. And I don't think Niner fans are going to support it. I think probably Brock is looked at a little differently today than he was 2 days ago. Like, oh, so you're just as greedy as any professional athlete. Yeah. Everyone's like, he's Christian. He won't want as much money. They're all Christian. What do you think? He was Jewish? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I think this was a bad PR move for Brock. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to start hearing soon, like, hey, this didn't come from us. This was just his opinion.
Yeah. And I also think you're going to start hearing rumors from the Niners camp that they're talking to quarterbacks. I think they're going to meet with Milroe and Dart and Will Howard, and I think you're going to start hearing rumors like that. I agree with you. I'd applaud the Niners on it, because if I was them, I wouldn't budge. I'd say if you want a deal right now, it's 40 to 45. And I think using Dak is such a double-edged sword. And in my opinion, like, if it is the agent, again, this is speculation. If so, it was dumb, because Dak Prescott is looked at as a mistake contract. So you just said, hey, we know the Cowboys were dumb. Niners, you should be just as dumb. And so, yeah, I think I agree. I think it's desperate. I think we really want a deal done. I'm trying to get the most I can. And I can't blame Purdy. He went from Mr. Irrelevant making, less than $1 million a year to potentially being a top 5 paid quarterback somehow, some way. But
your AirPods are cutting in and out. You might want to just go sans AirPod.
Let's get out of here.
Just saying. But look, like when you talk, there's a little bit of like feedback and stuff. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, like, I don't know. It just seems like this is, even to me, $45 million a year is too much. I really don't feel that he's that much better than Mac Jones or any quarterback that you could get to like run this system for cheap. I don't think that what we've seen from Brock Purdy is a guy who elevates the team. Christian McCaffrey elevates the team, but I don't think Purdy really does. And that's why I think this team, as currently constructed, should constantly be trying to have the best roster possible and the cheapest quarterback possible. Kind of like Minnesota. That's their formula.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's just one of those things where it's just, there's no way, man. There's no way after the season he had. There's no way with how much they're cutting costs. Brock Purdy, I mean, do I feel bad? Not really, but he's got to be the example they're making out of it, right? We have one big free agent available, or not free agent, but we have one big signing on the table, and this is where Parag and I'm assuming Jed's parents are putting their foot down and saying, no, when we said we don't want to spend, we don't want to spend. Not on Purdy, not on free agents. We do not want to spend, period.
And what's interesting about this report to me is like, now that it's out there, doesn't it kind of seem like the Niners, if they decided, you know what, let's trade him, wouldn't fans be more understanding of a move like that now than a week ago?
I think so. I mean, in my opinion, why not? If you can genuinely get a second round pick for Purdy, I'd pack his bags myself.
Doesn't it make sense why the Niners gave Mac Jones a 2-year deal? Doesn't it make sense why Brian Griese doesn't coach here anymore? I mean, I feel like all these things are coming into focus. Like this negotiation isn't going so well, apparently.
Yeah.
Like they're very far apart, and the 49ers are making moves to prepare for life, potentially without Brock.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I don't think Mac Jones is significantly worse than Brock. I think his decision-making, actually, no. I think Brock's decision
the mobility, definitely worse than Brock.
Yeah, but for sure. Oh. We lost
the second time this week, StreamYard's done that to me. What was I saying? I was about to have a really
You're
good...
saying the mobility, how Brock is like Lamar Jackson mixed with Michael Vick.
$58 million a year before you've seen what Mac Jones can do in the same offense for $3 million a year? What if it's the same thing?
I think it will be. I mean, obviously, again, I think Brock's escapability is a really underrated part of his game, yada, yada, yada. Let me appease the Brock fans. But his arm, I think, is worse than Mac Jones. Their decision-making is on par. Mac Jones just has worse teams. Brock Purdy would be cut if he wasn't on the Niners. Like, let's just be honest. Brock Purdy would not be on an NFL roster, most likely, if he wasn't in San Francisco.
He wouldn't be winning with the Browns or the Jaguars. I mean, he's not elevating teams.
I don't think he'd be rostered on the Jaguars or the Browns. Like,
he never would have come to prominence if he weren't in this situation. No one would know who Brock Purdy is. Yes, I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but that just means he's better than the backup quarterback for the Rams.
And I think on the flip side, Mac Jones would be looked at as the best quarterback of his class if he was on the 49ers. If we drafted him over Trey Lance, it would be looked at as like Bo Nix. Remember, everyone's like, oh my God, what a reach. But in Sean Payton's offense, it doesn't look like a reach. Do I still think Bo Nix was great?
It's a great call.
Like, but yeah, I think it's the same thing. Mac Jones would look like a Bo Nix. People are like, wait, this guy's actually low-key really good.
Yeah.
It's like, not really.
Well, his numbers are good and he's winning. Like, that's the Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo story on this team, right?
Exactly. So,
and like his claim to fame, Brock's claim to fame is that he's better than Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. That's it. That's all he can say for certain. And that doesn't mean much because Trey Lance isn't even in the NFL anymore. And Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't even try to compete for starting jobs anymore. He's like, you know what?
I wish, one of our sponsors, amazing ones, BetUS or Sleeper. I wish one of them had a Mac Jones starting at some point this year bet, because I would put money on it. I genuinely think Mac Jones will start at some point this year, especially if Brock's on a rookie contract. Because one, it would help in negotiations, but two, I really don't think you'd see a difference. I think the only thing you'd see a difference in is mobility, but I think Mac, what he lacks in mobility, would make up in the arm talent he has that's better than Brock.
Yeah. Also, to me, the fact that the Niners haven't really addressed the offensive line is like another piece of evidence that they may not be about to give this contract over to to Brock, because when they signed Jimmy in 2018, they also signed Weston Richburg at the same time. And then they went on to draft Mike McGlinchey. I think the thought process is if you're investing in a quarterback, you also have to invest in the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because if you can't protect the quarterback, then why are you giving him money? Unless you just want to throw it away. That seems to check out. So they're about to give Brock Purdy $58 million a year. It's just that they let the left guard go to Green Bay and didn't replace him. And Jake Brendel's still here. And Colton McKivitz is still here. And Jalen Moore is gone. But yeah, they're definitely going to give hella money to a quarterback in a month.
Here's a perfect example, right? What the Eagles do when they got Jalen Hurts. They just reinforce their contracts on the offensive line. If you see your quarterback of the future, what do? The first thing you do is, well, I got to protect my investment. Look at what the Browns did. They have Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman. Like they just Bears. That's what I meant.
Yes.
Look what they did with Caleb. It was just like when you are ready to protect your when you're ready to invest, you protect.
When you have an investment worth protecting.
Yeah. And I don't think the Niners do. If they do, they don't give him a contract. They do protect him a ton. And Brock Purdy goes back to 2023. Well, now we're out a ton of money and we can't really play fanfare at that point because Brock Purdy's going to play well because our system's easy. But Mac Jones is already on a contract. So if they do, sign a couple guys, they have a good system and they're like, all right, let's give Mac a shot. Or Brock Purdy gets injured again, which he probably will.
All I'm saying is Brock can make the Niners decision really easy, man. They can be like, look, you want what you want. We all want what we want. Here's the offer. And if you don't like it and you hold out, well, like, okay, well, we'll trade you. Or you can just sit there and watch Mac Jones take your job and we'll draft a quarterback and we won't trade you and you'll just be the backup. Like, you have no leverage here. If you want to play that game, it could get so bad for you. We made you.
Like,
we won't make you.
And I don't even think they need to go that far. I would just be like, I mean, look at Trey. Look at Trey, man. We gave you a chance. We gave you a chance because you were less of a risk. And at this point, who's more of a risk, Brock or Mac? Brock. So, Brock Purdy gets hurt for his 4th time on his throwing arm. All right, Mac Jones needs to come in. Brock, you take your time. Then Mac Jones start winning. All right, Brock, well, we're going to keep in the hot hand.
Yeah.
And there goes your money. If Brock and his agent were smart, they'd take whatever the Niners offer. $40 million over 3, dude, take it. Like if it's
true. Because if he comes back and plays on his rookie deal and gets hurt one more time and Mac plays well, kapoof, it's over.
I don't even think it's an if. Mac is Kyle's. That's his Jimmy. That's his Brock. That's who Kyle likes. That's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I think Brock. I think Brock can't afford to not take.
I also can't unsee Kyle reaming Brock at his locker after one of those losses last year. It might have been the one against the Cardinals. I'd have to go back and look, but I don't remember what Kyle said. I mean, not that I don't remember what he said. I didn't hear what he said, but I saw him. I would call him reaming Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy standing there and taking it. It seemed like. My guess is that Kyle doesn't value Brock Purdy's off-schedule scrambling. I think he feels it's not really that necessary in his system and that it's more a product of not seeing the field or maybe trying to do too much and prove that you're elite or whatever. And I think when he's winning, he'll take it. But when he's losing, he's going to point to that all day and be like, dude, the 7-yard out was open. What are you doing? And the one thing about Mac is he's not going to try to make those hero plays because he doesn't have that ability at all. He's gonna throw the ball.
Yeah, and I think also Mac was coached by like Nick Saban. He's used to getting yelled at, screamed at, so that kind of coaching style from Kyle wouldn't necessarily, I think, deter Mac. Whereas Brock, who knows what happened to his arm last year, but we can all tell. His arm did not look the same last year as it did in 2023. So it's like, it's one of those things, man, where it's really like Brock. I don't understand people that think Brock has leverage here. I think Brock has zero leverage. In my opinion, if I was Brock's agent, I'd say the first deal that comes across the table, we can maybe try and negotiate a few million a year, but like, that's it. And we should take it because at some point,
I'm not making the Tua argument for you, dude. I'm not making the Dak argument for you. It's a losing argument.
Yeah, I'd be like, bro, look at what they just did to the roster. They're not paying you $60 million.
It's not going to happen. Showtime 21-18. I still can't believe we got a 4th rounder from the Cowboys for Trey. Debo was a 5th and Mason was a 6th. Great trade in hindsight. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it
They
was.
true. It's like they learned that Trey was a non-player in the NFL, kept it a secret, got something for him, and now like he's out.
And they learned that Kyle can't develop a QB worth anything. But yeah.
There is that. So, okay, we hear about this report from Mike Garafolo, what Brock may or may not want. Fox 1 Sports host Craig Carton. I don't know exactly who he is. He's an East Coast guy. Maybe his name is Carton. Carton. Craig. We're going to call him Craig on this show. He says, and he's a New York guy, so this is coming from a East Coast perspective. He says the Giants should offer the 49ers 3 first-round picks, including this year's first, a third. It would be a pick swap, of course, to be, reasonable here. Plus 2 first-rounders in the future for Brock. I mean, obviously the Niners would do that with the Giants.
I think they should. I mean, I think Brock Purdy is a franchise creator.
So
I think
good.
he's a superstar quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, especially now that you can sign him for $60 million and he'd take it.
He'd be
to
like
lead
Eli
your
Manning,
franchise.
but twice as good for that franchise.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Brock would at least win you a couple rings. So
Future Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I completely agree with him. I think the New York Giants should trade. Honestly, even if they just want to do 2 firsts, like I think,
Yeah. Because you don't want to be greedy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, man, even a first and a second. I mean,
Yeah.
I bet you the Niners would take something like that. I mean, if they traded that and John Lynch didn't accept it, I think people would riot in Santa Clara.
I think the Niners, what the offer, what the value really is for Brock is a second this year and a conditional second next year that could become a first if he balls out. I don't think you can necessarily get a first round pick for him right now, given what the season he came off of, the surgery he's had to his elbow, and the fact that he really was Mr. Irrelevant.
With Mac Jones as our quarterback signed right now, I would take a pick swap for Purdy. Just give me a pick swap. Give me 3, you take 11, and I will trade you Purdy. That's so worth
all
it
day.
to me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I'd be like, here.
I'll throw in Brandon Ayuk. You can have Brandon Ayuk on the side.
You guys don't even lose a pick. Just pick swap. You could have Purdy.
Yeah.
You guys enjoy paying him $60 million a year.
At 3, who would you take? Who do you think Shadur Sanders is there, or do you think Travis Hunter is there, or do you think Abdul Carter is there? I mean,
I could see Kyle taking Travis Hunter, rolling with Mac, and waiting until a better draft class next year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even blame him. I'd say it's great work.
Yeah.
Even Abdul Carter, I'd be like, great work.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't be mad if he took someone like Cam Ward. I don't think him and Shadur would get along, even though I like Shadur Sanders.
Is Shadur not enough? Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, I think Shadur is a little too eccentric for him. I think Kyle
wants to have like a life outside of football, and that's not okay.
Kyle likes Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins. He doesn't like,
he likes Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I again, if I was them at 3, the world's your oyster. You could even trade down if you really wanted, and I wouldn't blame it. But you have Mac Jones now. So in my opinion, if I was the Niners, I would genuinely shop Purdy. Mac Jones is not a downgrade to Purdy.
If you could essentially flip Brock Purdy for Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you so much for your service, Brock. It's been great. Yeah. We enjoyed it was exciting. It was unexpected. And the fact that you could bring this franchise, Abdul Carter, is your ultimate legacy. I mean, we're gonna retire your number. We're gonna put you in the museum. We're going to have a little exhibit for you, and it's going to mention he brought us Hall of Fame edge rusher. We never would have had Hall of Fame edge rusher Abdul Carter without Brock. So thank you, Brock. Really,
I mean, dude, if someone actually truly believes, like, if that guy's not just doing it for clicks, I wish he was the GM of the Giants. Like, I pray that their GM listens to him.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't think he has a firm grasp of what the value of players is in the NFL. Although that being said, the Niners did once upon a time trade 3 firsts for Trey Lance. But I just wonder if, take away the ridiculous offer for a second, what about the team? Are the Giants a team that would be interested in Brock? Because you said that you couldn't see Kyle being interested in Shadur. I can't see the freaking Giants being interested in Shadur or Cam Ward because I don't know. The Maras seem like they like a very particular type of quarterback. I can't quite describe it, put my finger on it, but I could see them loving Brock Purdy for some reason.
I agree. I also think, I mean, even if I was the Niners, I'd ask the Titans for a pick swap. You have Will Levis, who's, he was a risk.
Yeah.
I even think Cam Ward. I don't think any quarterback in this draft is a slam dunk. I really don't. And I think Niners could use that as leverage. Like, listen, is Brock Purdy as talented as Cam Ward? No. But he's consistent. He's stable. Do you guys want to build a team? Brock Purdy would be great to build a team. He's stable.
We're selling him here. He's consistent. He's stable. The Titans are like, well, what happened in 2024? Stop asking about 2024. Have you watched 2023? Have you watched 2022? Go back and watch those years again. Those years were great. Yeah. But what happened in 2024?
Guys, you see,
they're always going to talk about 2024.
What quarterback's going to play with all those injuries?
Why you got to bring up old stuff? Actually, that's the most recent tape that we have of him.
I don't know. I can see it though. I can see the Giants being sold on not wanting to take another risk. You just had Daniel Jones. I mean, you have Tommy DeVito. You have, then all your choices are Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, or you could reach for Jackson Dart, which I don't see them doing. That'd be absurd. So take Brock Purdy and pick swap. Do the safe thing, man. Come on.
I love
Bring
it,
the
man.
Giants, Eli Manning 2.0.
Would you trade Brock Purdy to the Giants if you couldn't get the third pick and all you could get was their second this year, which is a high?
Yep.
Me too. I would still do it.
I would trade Brock. I would trade BA for seconds. Easy.
It takes guts, but I still think you have to remember, like, guys, Niners, slow down here. You were winning with Jimmy, okay? You were winning with Jimmy. I know the Trey Lance experience was traumatic, but Trey Lance isn't an NFL quarterback. You don't need a starting quarterback to win. You won with Jimmy, who's a legit backup. Brock might be a legit backup. We don't know until he plays for another team. You could win with Mac. I firmly believe you can win with Mac.
Okay, and that's my thing. Does it take guts? Mac took the Patriots and was a Pro Bowl quarterback without a great supporting cast. Again, I'm not saying Mac's great. But is he that much?
The only problem is that there's this what's the word?
The problem is Mac was drafted 3rd overall. If Mac was Mr. Irrelevant and did what he did on the Patriots, people would be all over him like they are with Purdy. That's the problem.
The problem is the word I was looking for is consortium. There is a consortium of veterans on this team who have way too much power and say. And if the Niners want to make a move like, hey, we're trading Brock and we're going to go young and we're going to go with Mac Jones and a rookie, I don't know. The fullback might not like it.
Do you think Brock is that in with the boys club though? They all got along with Darnold better. I don't think
it's not that he's that in with the boys club. It's that they would have to green light the next option. And they might not say, hey, we're an older core. We don't want to rebuild at the quarterback position. We don't want to give Mac Jones a shot.
I'd be like, you're not rebuilding. You have the same damn quarterback in Mac Jones. Like, that would be my thing. Like, even if they were to
what if George Kittle doesn't want Mac Jones to be the starter and wants to keep Brock Purdy?
I'd be like, okay, George, break down Brock's 2024 film and Mac's 2024 film and show me the actual difference between those two players. That's what I want to see. If you can actually break down the film and give me reasons on what Brock Purdy does so much better than Mac that there's no world where we can give Mac a chance, then I will agree. Otherwise, you're a tight end. Enjoy being a tight end.
There's one thing the Niners could do to get the Cabo click on board with another quarterback change.
Bring Steve Young back.
Hold on. If they don't want to give Mac Jones a shot, which to me is short-sighted and their fault, and another reason why I don't think that you should keep a consortium of vets on the team, a clique of vets, you could bring in Aaron Rodgers. The other part of this proposed trade from Craig Carton is that the Niners would sign Aaron Rodgers. It seems realistic in the sense that I think that's where Rodgers wants. I think he wants to come here. He went to Cal. He is so into himself and his story and his narcissistic adventure that he thinks he should have started his career on the Niners and he got screwed over in that initial draft, and it'd be cool to sort of come full circle. And I think he's totally into the idea of finishing his career on this team. And I think he's waiting around for the 49ers to sort of come to that conclusion that they'd be better off with him. I think the vets would go for it. I think it'd be freaking suicide for this team, but what do you think?
Isn't Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh today?
Is he?
I'm pretty sure he's in Pittsburgh today. But let's say he's not. I don't think Kyle and Aaron Rodgers would get along. I think
there's no choice.
I think
no
this
chance.
is the biggest
There's no
issue
chance.
with this is the biggest issue with the 49ers. And this was my issue with Andy Reid when he was in Philly. Andy Reid could at least find Hall of Fame quarterback talent, but they're very stubborn. Andy Reid wasn't not stubborn until he got to Patrick Mahomes. Kyle is very stubborn. Aaron Rodgers is very stubborn. And I think Kyle, say Aaron Rodgers throws a pick, mobility-wise, Kyle isn't afraid to let his ego get the best and be like, dude, you're 40 years old. You're not your MVP level. What are you doing? Stop moving around. And that's my biggest issue is I just think Kyle's a problem, man. I think they should have split this offseason. I think they really should have split this offseason. I think they should have sometimes, man, you just need a fresh start and it helps more than it hurts. I think Kyle's a huge issue when it comes to quarterback. I think he's too short-sighted and too stubborn when it comes to quarterback. I don't know. That's my biggest issue with Aaron Rodgers is I don't think him and Kyle would work well together. And that's why he likes Nathaniel Hackett. He can do whatever he wants.
There's more issues with Aaron Rodgers in this team, though. It's like he can't move
50.
and he's 41 and this offensive line isn't good enough. So you could give him, and plus he wouldn't be cheap. He might be cheaper than Brock. If Brock is asking for $58 million a year, maybe you could get Rodgers for 40 or whatever offer you're currently offering Brock. But then you don't have an offensive line. He's going to get hurt. You don't have him anymore. And even if he stays healthy, won't be there in OTAs, won't be there. He'll be in Mexico. He'll be thinking about things. He'll be pondering politics and life. And he's toxic. And Kyle Shanahan doesn't have the freaking backbone to stand up to him. And I wonder what Robert Saleh thinks of him.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, too. Yeah, I mean, I've never thought Aaron Rodgers was the answer. I genuinely, and this is going to sound crazy, I would prefer them to just start Mac Jones.
Me too. Because look at the Vikings. They're making the same calculation. Like, is Aaron Rodgers better than J.J. McCarthy? I mean, I guess we don't really know what J.J. McCarthy is, but is it really worth it to them to break up their team for him?
Yeah.
No.
Like, look what he just did in the Jets. And albeit it's the Jets, but we already have enough drama in San Francisco, man. We have way more than enough drama.
It's true.
Like, at this point, you'd just be, in my opinion, if Kyle and John did this, they would be mortgaging their jobs for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Also, it's like you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers for like a 1-year deal. I mean, you can't count on him in 2026. You got to go year to year if you bring him in, and you have $85 million in cap space. Like, you're not winning the Super Bowl this year. You might make the playoffs. You're not winning the Super Bowl when you have almost $100 million in cap space. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be better than the Eagles this year. So what is the point? You know what I mean?
In my opinion, I know a lot of people have that sentiment that the Niners are no longer a threat. I disagree. I think the Niners should still be a threat this year.
They can be a threat, but they're not a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. They could be a threat to knock a team off.
On paper, yes. But 2019, they weren't on paper a Super Bowl contender. They just had a really good coaching staff.
But they didn't have $85 million in dead cap either.
Sure. They just had, they had
That's
bunch
a handicap. That's a big handicap.
For sure. But if Kyle is as good as he says he is, if he's as good as he tells us he is, if Brock is as good as he tells us he is, if BA is as good as he tells us he is, if Saleh is as good as he tells us he is.
That's true.
I
see the point you're making, but let me ask you this. Is it possible that the Niners have enough job security that they could straight up tank this year and get Arch Manning?
You'd have to have the Yorks on board. I don't think they have enough job security to do that on their own.
Hey, man,
in the back
look,
of their head.
We don't really believe in Brock. This dude wants way too much money. We already have $85 million in dead cap space. Just let us tank this one more year. We will get the quarterback next year. We will never have another losing season, but give us some patience. I would say, hell no, win this year.
I agree. And I don't think any of the players would stay. I don't think George would stay. I don't think Kyle's best friend Juszczyk would stay. I don't think Fred would stay.
What would Juszczyk want? That's what I always am thinking. Like, what would make him upset? What would make him happy? And I want to make him happy.
Like, I mean, he went to Pittsburgh. I mean, Kyle was probably on the next plane out to Pittsburgh to get him back.
Maybe come back.
He had a speaker in his hand outside the
Yeah,
offices. Yeah, he was like, don't go.
Think about the good times.
Yeah. Think about when we lost a couple Super Bowls because of bad quarterback
Those were
play.
special times.
Think about when you fumbled the ball on your only carry and lost us the game. Like, we couldn't do that without you anymore.
Yeah. Think about the 14 times a season I get you the ball, man. Come on. 21.
Think about going out for drinks with me and George after a game and us telling you good job on those motions.
Yeah. Think about how upset George Kittle's wife would be if you weren't on this team.
Dude,
be upset.
All the jackets your wife would have to get rid of. Like, come on, man.
I mean, because it's about a team, but it's really about the bromance between George, Juszczyk, and McCaffrey. That's all I care about. Yeah. The rest of the 50 players mean nothing to me. This trio, that's all I care about.
I think they're going to retire together. I think
they should start a podcast and a reality show.
I could totally. Kittle and Juice are totally going to copy Gronk and Edelman.
Oh yeah, and then get McCaffrey in there for a little extra, because he's so interesting and says so much.
It's going to be as interesting as Debo's podcast. So,
yeah. Shady Luke says if he does get $60 million, I have a bad feeling your management won't spread it out wisely.
If he gets $60 million a season, I mean, one, he's not, but two, the franchise is cooked.
Alan Lopez says we finally putting respect on Mac's name, put talent around him, and watch bro cook.
I wouldn't say I'm respecting Mac. I would say I'm disrespecting Brock, but yeah.
Showtime 2118 says there's zero chance Brock plays on his rookie deal. He will sit out the season.
Yeah.
So bad for the locker room.
Okay. Yeah. That's never going to happen.
Shady Luke says, I don't think Brock has that type of value in my opinion, though. Dude can't beat good AFC teams and crumbled in the fourth quarters this past year.
I completely
Can we get Brock Purdy's numbers in the fourth quarter from this past year? I think that's worth looking up.
I completely agree. Brock doesn't have any value. That's why I'm saying that if I was Brock's agent, I'd say, bro, if they're offering you $40 a year, even just for 3 years, take it. That's the most you're ever going to get.
Dude, his quarterback rating in the fourth quarter this year was 83.9. Dude, this was Brock Purdy by quarter in 2024. First quarter, 106. Second quarter, 102. Third quarter, 88. Fourth quarter, 83. So this is all with you can blame it on the supporting cast, but with the same supporting cast, he was dicing people up in the first quarter. It just seemed like he got progressively worse as games went on. And I don't see how you can blame other people about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not going to say sit here and say oh, well, because of Kyle. But we do have a fourth quarter problem with Kyle. Holy God, we have a fourth quarter problem with Kyle. I just think he starts becoming predictable in the fourth quarter. I think everyone knows at this point, all right, Niners have a lead. They're just going to run the ball pretty much all 3 downs. Or they're going to throw some screen or some motion play to McCaffrey. That's it. They're not going to actually try and put their foot on the gas. Because that was Brock Purdy's big thing is, oh, I'm going to be Tom Brady this year. We're going to put our foot on their throats this year and just, hit the gas. And that literally was the opposite of what happened.
The unfaithful perspective says I keep having this premonition that Purdy will be a Steeler or a Giant next season.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I don't see it, but I hope so.
I just don't see if the Steelers were to trade for Brock, they're a smart organization, if a little Stone Age, and I don't see them giving Brock all this money. There's no way.
The Steelers hate paying people more than the Bengals.
Yeah, they just would.
TJ Watt to take discounts. They're not.
They might trade a 3rd round pick for Brock Purdy and make him play out his deal and let him go, but they won't. The Giants would do something stupid.
Yes.
The Giants are an awful organization.
Bro, the Steelers are so bad that they wouldn't give BA $30 million last year and then started calling on him this year for $30 million. They're just as bad as the Niners at contract negotiations. They're not giving Purdy.
But the Giants are so poverty. They're so bad. I could see them wanting to have the next, all-American franchise quarterback, yada, yada, yada.
Sure. I could see him going to the Giants. I don't think this class is good enough for the Giants to not ask.
Yeah, well, that would be just such a blessing for the 49ers. All day, every day, Kim says Niners are no different from the Cowboys, Browns, Jags. Well, this is their opportunity to show that they are. Once they pay Brock Purdy, whatever he wants, then they really are the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but
The Dolphins this year.
I don't. I mean, tell me when any of those teams have made a Super Bowl in the last 20 years. Like, come on, they're not the same as them, but they're the
No,
same.
but I think
like,
when you give that, like when you make Brock Purdy the highest paid player in franchise history by far, you just put yourself in Dallas territory.
they're the '90s Bills, in my opinion. They're paying to keep their team the same that keeps losing.
Yes, now they are that.
Yeah.
But again, if and when they pay Brock Purdy $58 million a year, you're officially in the tier of teams that have awful
You
contracts
actually
at quarterback.
think they will? I don't.
No.
I don't see them doing it.
I don't.
I really
and that's why I'm encouraged with the Niners this year.
Yeah.
You got Brock Purdy, who's like looking at you guys, what you did with Ayuk the last year and Trent and McCaffrey. He's thinking, I'm going to take advantage of you too. And so far you haven't let him.
Yeah, he's begging. I don't think they're going to do it.
Fluke says, love your content, Grant. Thanks for daily uploads. I appreciate you, man. It's the name of the game. Shady Luke says, had a Niner fan tell me the other day, you guys are like us now without Slay. I said, bro, we got Cooper and Quinion Mitchell.
I mean, yeah, the Eagles are a lot better than the Niners.
They're so good. Showtime 2118 says BT Dub Kyle is a QB guru. Brock, Jimmy, Darnold, Matt Ryan, everyone gets better except a guy who isn't even an NFL quarterback. He's 100% developed Brock.
That's not true. That's not a QB guru.
That's fine then. Then why do you pay? Then why would you ever pay for a quarterback if Kyle is that valuable? Give the money to Kyle.
He's not even a guru, man. If you have the same type of quarterback doing the same type of things with the same type of results, that's not a guru. Like
yeah, let him win a Super Bowl all day, every day. Kim says, "Tell me the difference. 60 million makes them no different."
Huh?
Yeah, I don't. Hold on. She said earlier, Niners are not different from the Cowboys. Yeah, but they haven't paid him yet.
They haven't
paid him yet. To their credit, I do want to give them some credit here.
Yeah, if they don't pay him, they're not the same as them because they're not.
Okay, so enough of this Craig Carton guy. I don't know. I have something I want to say, and it has nothing to do with the quarterback position. I think the 49ers should go out and sign Calais Campbell. Yes, I know he's 38 years old, but he's still really good. The Niners tried to trade for him either last year or the year before. I think it was last year, and the Dolphins were like, no, he's still really good, and we still are trying to make the playoffs. You need like at least 2 defensive tackles. You're still going to draft 2 defensive tackles, but what's the problem if you're going to sign DeMarcus Robinson, who's in his 30s, and keep Trent Williams, who's in his 30s? Why not bring in one more senior citizen? I don't know. I'm not trying to change your mind. You might think it's crazy, but I think he'd be cheap, and that'd be the guy I want to bring in. Calais Campbell.
After you said that, I thought about it, and I actually do like it because I think he could be like a Richard Sherman signing, right? Where he's, regardless of who's going to be a defensive tackle or edge rusher for us, they're going to be really young because we missed on every free agent that was half decent. So why not? He's going to be, yeah, he's a vet. Yeah, he's ancient, but who cares? He can help Saleh be like, this is what I've noticed in my 40 years in the NFL. Like, these are the tricks I've learned. Like, this is how you do it with these young guys that maybe don't have good fundamentals, which is what Sherman did. He helped teach a lot of those fundamentals and the vision that people were missing. I like it. I don't mind. I mean, you have nobody. So,
I mean, if you care about competing this year, you're not done in free agency. You're not. And the idea of just letting 9 starters go and replacing all of them with rookies or second-year players just feels like you're saying, hey, we got an easy schedule and we do have some good stars, but we went 6-11 last year and we have some financial problems. So if we happen to be super good, great. If we happen to be kind of like we were last year, we're prepared for that. But if you really want to compete, I think the second and third wave of free agency of guys like Calais Campbell, who you could get like maybe 1 year, $4 million, something low. Why would you not be in dumpster diving like that? I don't know.
I like it. I genuinely think it could be like the Sherman signing. I think Calais Campbell's good too. Like, obviously Sherman was younger, but I think Calais Campbell's good enough so he wouldn't be just there. He wouldn't be like, juszczyk. Actually, that's a perfect example. He wouldn't be juszczyk of the defense. He'd actually be participating and helping, and and he could help the guys on the defensive line.
The only question is, would he want to come to the Niners? It seems like vets might be thinking, "Oof, I'm 38. You're slashing salary. I mean, maybe I'll go play for the Chiefs."
Are they offering you? That's what
I
I'd
don't
ask
know.
if
I
I
mean,
was the Niners. Like,
maybe he's going to be one of
if-
these vets who's like makes up his mind 3 days before the season starts. Like, I don't really want to go to training camp at all, but I do want to play football this year. So we'll talk in September.
Yeah, I mean,
Could be.
I like it. I like the idea. I think Calais Campbell would be a good addition. I think, dude, you have nobody. So
Nobody. How big of a need is wide receiver for this team?
Big.
I mean, Ayuk hurt, Debo out, Pearsall Jennings, Demarcus Roberts. Like, is this a position they draft in round 2, 3, or do you feel like, nah, man, they got Pearsall, they got Jennings, Robinson's on a 2-year deal, like Kittle's a wide receiver on passing plays, like, well, they're good.
I'm telling you right now, if McMillan is available at 11, you take him. Telling you right now, you have to. He is a legit wide receiver 1 that can go up, snag balls, get separation. He's like,
I think he's very T. Higgins-esque, and I like T. Higgins.
I think Juwan, the biggest issue is, yes, he's good. Yes, third and Juwan's great. He can't separate. Pearsall can't separate. BA's knee's gone, so he probably will have a tough time separating. McMillan can separate, and if he can't separate, he can separate with his body, with his ridiculous catch radius. Dude, in my opinion, if he's available at 11, you take him. But yeah, you have to get a receiver. You also have to get offensive and defensive line. Demarcus Robinson can separate, but it's like, I think you need, with BA's injury, in my opinion, I'd trade BA and look to get McMillan early.
I respectfully disagree with you. I think their trio of Pearsall and Jennings and Robinson is like a solid B. And then what's nice about it is none of them make that much money. And none of them has to be the number 1 because you have George Kittle and McCaffrey. Although, do you have McCaffrey? Let's put McCaffrey to the side. Anything McCaffrey gives you at this point in his career, I think is gravy. But you do have George Kittle. You can count on him. He's your number 1 option.
Juszczyk.
Of course. You're a run-first team. You don't really want to pass that much. You got 3 solid receivers. And I don't know about Pearsall, I don't think he can beat press coverage, but I think he can create a little separation, like more than Debo did. So I kind of like their receivers. They do need some. I wouldn't necessarily extend Juwan Jennings because he might get some serious money at the way he's been producing. And no, I wouldn't do that. I'm sorry. I don't like him that much.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone like McMillan is available at 11, I'd grab him just because
he's good. I'm not sure he's going to be there at 11.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. If, like, that's a big if. Yeah. And he's just
the Patriots could straight up take him at number 4.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seems like Kyle wants, at least, I don't know. Juszczyk could have been like, I miss you signing, but with the blocking tight end they got, Luke, whatever, and Juszczyk and Kittle, it seems like the Niners may start looking at, I know a lot of people think Kyle's going to like this more spread offense. I think if anything is showing, he might be slimming back down to his I-form offense again. 2 tight end sets with his fullback, and then go back to that. Because I mean, now, theoretically, now he has 2 tight ends. He's made George isn't signed yet, but he's making it a priority to sign George. Made it a priority to sign a pure blocking tight end, and then Juice, who does nothing but block. So
that's true. And Jennings use them in the really a starting wide receiver. I mean, he produces like one. He doesn't have the skill set of one because he's so slow. He's like more of like a move tight end in the route tree that he's running. So if that's what you got, maybe Kyle's like, well, why don't we just do some 22 personnel anyway? Because the only true starting wide receiver we have until Ayuk comes back is Pearsall, who started 2 games or whatever he's done. Yeah.
So that's my opinion. Is it seems like Kyle's seemingly going back to, because it seems like, remember we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, how the league seems like they're kind of transitioning back to a run first league, where all these teams that are running heavily with big offensive lines, which we don't have, are succeeding. And it seems like with our signings, that's kind of what we're looking to do. It doesn't look like we're looking to go towards it. If we're looking to go towards a pass first offense, this offseason's made no sense.
They're never going to go to a pass first offense, which brings me to our last topic. Tang is back. Tang isn't necessarily nutritious, but it does get the job done. Why did the 49ers get rid of Tang and then decided that they couldn't live without Tang? Why is Tang back?
I mean, I guess the rumor is they didn't want to pay him, and then he was willing to take less money to stay in his family and his home in the Bay. My guess is they were just losing too many vets, and they saw everyone complaining on Twitter, and they're like, let's do some fan service. Let's do Deadpool and Wolverine with Kittle and Juice.
Let me ask you this, though. Why is Tang an indispensable vet, but Greenlaw isn't? I mean, Greenlaw went to both Super Bowls, made much bigger plays, was much more important in the past. Yes, he's tore his Achilles, but is it just
because Greenlaw didn't want to be here?
Why?
Because from everything everyone said, is Greenlaw's big thing is he wants to be linebacker one. He doesn't want Fred to be it. He wants to be it.
You really think Greenlaw's issue was Fred?
I think his issue was he wanted to run his defense.
Is it possible his issue is that he wanted to be respected and valued,
or he wanted to be
more than
paid.
the Niners respected and valued him?
Or he wanted.
I mean, he's below the pecking order of Juszczyk.
The Juszczyk's $4 million a year. Greenlaw.
Juszczyk's a captain. Juszczyk's a spokesman. Juszczyk's part of the family. Greenlaw was disposable, replaceable.
But here's the thing. Salah's seemingly made it seem like he wasn't. So in my opinion, it can't be that, because Salah's tried to do everything in his power to say, you're not disposable, you're not replaceable, we want you back here. So in my opinion, the only thing that makes sense is that Greenlaw, again, I agree with you though, because in my opinion, it was the equivalent.
It's possible. I don't know if I'm right. The question is, did he feel like he was in Warner's shadow, like Warner's Jordan and he's Pippen? That's possible. Or did he feel disrespected by the franchise, like they never really promoted him the way they promoted Warner? I always got the sense that Warner and Greenlaw were really good friends, but again, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if that mindset is true, if Greenlaw's mindset's true, I think he's dumb as rocks, because that's literally the equivalent of Terrell Suggs saying, no, Ray Lewis is here, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, and he never struck me as dumb as rocks, although I don't know.
Yeah. And again, if you're the Niners and you're disrespecting him while Salah's saying, please God, keep him, you're also dumb as rocks. So someone's stupid in this scenario. I just don't know who.
I just think it's interesting that, they released Juszczyk, and it seems like, Kittle instantly went to social media with the heartbreak emojis. Like, oh my God, where was that when Greenlaw hit free agency? I don't understand that. I just feel like it feels kind of like there are factions on the team. And
I mean, yeah, there's the boys club and there's the rest.
But I used to call it the Cabo clique, but then that's kind of messy because Warner's in that. But I don't know how close the offense is with the defense or Warner is with Kittle. I do remember Warner told the media this year, hey, I'm playing through a broken ankle. He told us that. And we asked Kittle about it the next week or two. And Kittle was like, oh, yeah, Fred brought that up, huh? Well, a lot of players are playing through injuries. A lot of players are playing through it and aren't talking about it. I thought it was pretty clear that George didn't like Warner saying that. And I wonder, how close these players are. They've known each other so long. I feel like it's inevitable for cliques to form when a team's been together this long.
I also think that's just George's mindset, too. I think George, you see the mic'd up from when Brock tore his UCL in the Eagles game. He's like, can you just throw left-handed? George just seems like that kind of guy. Let's not make excuses, bro. We're all in pain, especially as a tight end. He's like, come on, I'm in pain literally every day. So I think that's also
he was playing through a broken rib last year. We learned after the season.
So exactly. I think
I'm not taking sides. I'm not taking sides and saying that George wasn't right to feel how we felt. I just was noticing that I think George seemed a little annoyed by Warner in that instance last season. It makes you wonder, what are these players' relationship? I know George is great friends with Juszczyk and McCaffrey and Trent Taylor. I know that, but I don't really know what his relationship is like with someone such as Warner or Greenlaw, who's gone.
This offseason, the only signing that hurt me.
Did Warner tweet anything about Travarius Ward leaving? Maybe he did. Did he say anything about Talanoa Hufanga leaving? Oh, my heart breaks. This was my teammate. We went to a Super Bowl together. Or was it about Juszczyk, his friend?
See, that's my thing is I I know they were like super upset, but it looked like George was more upset. Juice. This is again all speculation. This is nothing based in reality.
Right.
It seemed like George was more upset Juice left than Warner was that Greenlaw was left, which again is like why I'm leaning towards the Greenlaw's ego got in the way. I want to be the guy. I want to be the man.
How about this? It's possible when Greenlaw leaves, Fred Warner calls him, texts him, I love you, man. I'm sorry this happened. When you take it to social media, it's layered. It's how I feel about this person. It's a message to this person, but it's also a message to the public. It's also a message to the team. Whoever wants to take it. This isn't what I wanted, and it's public, right?
That's what I'm saying. Especially because their Warner House, their podcast, Fred's, they're always tweeting stuff that they hide behind. Well, this isn't technically Fred's view. Like this is just the podcast. This is just social media. So in my opinion, at least the podcast would have tweeted, again, speculation, but the podcast would have tweeted like, can't believe they let go of Fred. Do you think this was the right move, Niner fans? They do that all the time. They didn't do it for Greenlaw though. So it's like, I don't know. Again, I could just be going crazy, but
I just think that in the pantheon of Niner greats, like in the history of 49ers players, Greenlaw is so much more important to the history of the franchise than Juszczyk ever was.
But in my opinion, also, maybe the Niners mindset, the reason they thought he was replaceable is, listen, bro, we just came off of Willis and Bowman and Borland. Then we jumped right into Warner and Greenlaw. We're pretty goddamn good at finding linebackers. So, like,
I would counter as Greenlaw's agent, Devondre Campbell. What was that?
I'd say that was an edge rusher. I'd say that was
that was a mistake. We got one mistake.
Say that was an edge rusher. Sorry.
Sean Shepard says, how much would he ask for if he was Jewish? This is what I was talking about with Brock. Grant picking up stones to get me. JK, Brock is good, not great. His agent is showing his hand. Grant, we ain't drafting a running back. We got Jews. Not enough touches.
They're
available.
Drafting Cam. If Cam's available in the third round.
I did a mock draft yesterday, and I couldn't bring myself to make the Cam Scatiboo pick with the 75th pick. I took a center instead and felt good about it. But the Niners are taking a running back with the 75th pick, and it's going to be Cam.
Oh, dude, there's not a better match made in heaven than Kyle Shanahan, Kyle Juszczyk, and Cam Scatiboo.
It's true. He might be on the team forever. All day, every day, Kim says the way this front office has run this franchise as of late makes them look like those lower end franchises.
Dude, I think this
I have to agree. They've been weak. They've been weak. They've been willing to spend, but they've been caving the last few years. But I just want to give them credit for this offseason.
Yes,
At
that's
least
what I'm
they
saying.
haven't done that yet.
This offseason, I respectfully disagree. I think they look like the Eagles this offseason. They're not wasting time. They're not playing besides Juszczyk, they're not playing favorites. They are saying, guys, we need to do this. Like, this is what good teams do. That's what the Eagles did.
Roger Seller says has become a YouTube member. Thank you. All day, every day. Kim says, ain't giving these dudes no more breaks. They got to prove it now. Not now, but right now. I love that. The hot seat should be on fire. Eddie would have fired Kyle 3 years ago. 100%. One thing I do admire about the Eagles is how the heat is always turned up on everyone. Sky high expectations. They would fire Nick Sirianni next year if he went 6-11. Next year. A year removed from the Super Bowl. I love that about the Eagles.
I think it's because they know they have the best GM in football. When you have Howie Roseman, dude, you can't waste time. Don't waste his career. Don't waste.
And he's won Super Bowls with two different coaches, so like either win or leave.
Trade 3 firsts as the 49ers to get Howie Roseman on my team.
I wouldn't trade 1 first for freaking Sirianni, and that's all you need to know about that team. Alejandro Buenostro says, fair to say Greenlaw helped Warner get paid? Hell yeah, it's fair to say Greenlaw makes Warner better. Warner makes Greenlaw better, but Greenlaw makes Warner better. All day, every day. Kim says the white players, Grant, let's keep it a buck.
Yes, that is what we're referring to when we refer to Kyle Juice, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle. Yes.
Look, man, I'm not saying the Niners thought about it or planned it this way, but it's a bad look when the 9 starters who leave, let's just count them and see what they have in common. Debo, Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, and Talanoa Hufanga. What do they all have in common? I don't know. It's beyond me. I'm not good with patterns.
Say the Charvarius Ward one is a little bit Mooney.
It's just a bad look. I'm not saying it was intentional. I'm not saying the Niners are nefarious.
And
it's a bad look.
The only one they brought back is
Juszczyk.
is
Terrible
useless.
look. If
Yeah.
I were their defense attorney, I'm like, how do you expect me to help you beat the allegations when this is what you do? You got to help me help
And then look
you.
what you did with Trey Lance.
Come
and who's your
on.
quarterback?
You can't. I mean, I'm just saying
dude,
it's a
they
bad
did
look.
bury Josh Dobbs on the depth chart for Brandon Allen.
It's
That's all I'm going to
you're
say.
really not
That's
giving
all
me
I'm
anything to
gonna
work
say.
with here, guys. Help me. Help you. Jamie Alazaga says, which Kyle annoys you the most, Shanahan or Tang?
Man, because he's the reason Tang's still here.
That's a good answer. That's a great answer. I have to agree with LaRocca on that one. Anyway, it's just crazy how this team went from Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed, Eli Harold kneeing before every game to
They went
Nick
from an elite
Bosa
players coach
doing
to
the
a
Trump
dictator.
dance.
Yeah,
Man.
they went from an elite players coach to a dictator. And I'm not even gonna, political affiliations aside, Jim Harbaugh got the best out of Colin Kaepernick. Let's just even call it. Colin was not good after Harbaugh.
Yeah.
He was an MVP candidate under Harbaugh. Like
He was really good under Harbaugh. He was really good under Harbaugh.
Harbaugh, it's like the curse of the Bambino. Getting rid of Harbaugh was the worst mistake the 49ers have made in the last 20 years.
They can't run from it. They can't escape it. He's back, and the Niners are.
Bro, look what he did with scraps on the Chargers in the hardest conference.
You know what I
want
want to see them do? I want to see him trade Herbert. I want to see him trade Herbert to the Vikings for McCarthy.
I want to see him trade Herbert to the 49ers for Brock Purdy straight up, please.
Yeah.
Please.
All right, let's go out on top. Thanks for watching, everyone. Tyler, thank you very much. He just moved from the West Coast to the dirty South, and we wish him all the best.
I'm in the Cowboys' backyard, so I'll get you any insider info I can.
Yeah, let us know what they're thinking over there about this Brock Purdy contract. I bet they think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you drive to Dallas or did you fly?
I drove all the way here. 1,400 miles.
That's was it a fun drive?
Nope. I had
How long did it take?
3 days. We drove 7 hours day 1, 10 hours day 2, and then 6 hours day 3.
Oof, you take 10 all the way?
Yep. 10 to the 20 to the 30.
10 to 20 to 30. Ugh.
It was brutal.
Here's the thing about Dallas. I've flown into Dallas a few times, and in the Dallas airport, there's pictures everywhere of 26-year-old Emmitt Smith, 26-year-old Troy Aikman. It's like, guys, I'll stuck in 1995. It's incredible.
Yesterday, I got home with my Niner hat, Niner hoodie. My neighbor came out in a Cowboys hat and Cowboy hoodie, and I was like, you couldn't have written this better. And he's like, nice to meet you. He's like, you from California? I was like, yes, I am.
There's not enough room in these streets for the both of us, partner.
I was like, these games are going to be fun watches, ain't they?
This guy's like, man, all these fucking Californians coming out here to Dallas. I hate this shit.
I'm like, I need to get my plates changed ASAP.
Niners looking like Princeton's basketball team. It's a Harvard-Stanford backfield. A Harvard-Stanford backfield. Anyway, before I get in trouble, that's the show. Tyler, thank you. Everyone, thank you. I'll be back. Have a good one. All the best.